Hello everybody, welcome back. And we're doing the Wednesdays and Saturday live streams now. So everyone, just let me know if you can hear me right. I'm assuming it's working. I always have these things in the back of my head thinking, it's just, I'll be talking for half an hour and no one's going to let me know, or they do let me know, but I don't look at my phone to find out that I'm not being heard or whatever. I think everything's working fine, but just let me know. And one other thing I'm going to do is I was thinking I might open this up to the public, but not immediately. So if everybody just throws their comments in, so I get to do all your stuff, and then in about 20 minutes or something like that, I'll just open it up to the masses, and see if anybody else fancies joining up, or just is interested in general, really. I noticed, I've been doing this my YouTube channel for probably about 2.5 years. Probably, it feels like a long time. To be honest, it's probably longer than that. It's almost just become like part of life. I can't really remember, but I've been doing it for a long time. And I always remember this. It's like anything. The YouTube views and everything like that. It's just the sentiment. It trends with the market. When the market's up, everybody wants a piece. Everyone's watching. When the market's down, no one cares. And that could be because people are getting wrecked, or people think that it's all over and there's nothing to see here. To be honest, So yeah, the YouTube channel goes downhill just as the market does. So not that I'm one of those people that begs for subscribers or anything like that. You should know me by now. I'm really not into any of that. But just to save myself from dying completely, and just almost like feel like I'm talking to a brick wall, I think I might just open it up, see if anybody fancies a piece. But also, what I do notice as well is that you can almost use YouTube as an indicator as well. So this is the thing that people always seem to forget. Like, if you want to make the real money, if you want to make the big money, you kind of buy when no one's interested in, when everybody's calling it a scam or whatever. I mean, we've been through it so many times. And if you think about even something like Matic, the whole, when I made this YouTube channel, a lot of it was trading Matic, because there was so many periods of boring sideways and down bear market almost market movement. For some reason, Matic seemed to not avoid all that. It had its own ups and downs, but I was doing lots of videos on Matic, and the amount of times I heard people back then saying Matic's a scam. And what do they call the guy? Sandeep, the developer. They called him Scam Deep. That's how it just gets pretty aggressive stuff, And then that was back then, when the all-time high was about 4 cents. Now look at it, God, it peaked at like $2.50. So like, I suppose what all I'm saying is that the views are down, but it's only emphasising the overall opportunity, I think, in the market, and just my continued perseverance with how I feel that Bitcoin specifically to start with. You all know where I'm going with this. Bitcoin to start with, then alts. But when people think about I see on Twitter, I'm partial to a bit of Twitter. When I'm absolutely bored or I'm putting my baby to sleep or something like that, I go on Twitter because it's nice and quiet, and I just get to look at the noise, right? And it's kind of unbearable, really, sometimes to even look at it. But I hear even big traders say, Bitcoin moved today, that means alts are next. And I'm like, look, I know you've got 100,000 followers or whatever, but I really don't think that's how it's going to work, to be honest. And I'm surprised that you think that too. I think what we've all recognised, even if it's just like I say, the Bitcoin dominance chart is just an overview of how the thing works. It works on a much longer time frame than a daily thing. So if we see Bitcoin pump by 10%, or even 20%, let's just say it does that, and then we expect alts to move directly afterwards, it may happen, but that's gamble. That's gambling, really. We base everything on that, I suppose, on a larger. We don't want to just go into alts for a small gain, do we? We want to go into alts for a massive gain. That's what we really want. We want big gains. We want those 10x's, I suppose. It's just that. That's always the dream, but it's a reality it has been a reality for a lot of us recently. But even let's just say a measly 3x, which is amazing. Think about what that is. A 3x, that's brilliant. Anybody who turns their nose up at a 3x needs their head checking. These are the moves that we want. We don't want to be going, oh, I think alts are going to move tomorrow because Bitcoin moved today. No, I think there's something bigger in play, and we've gone through it. You know where I'm going. You know what it is that I'm going to say about the market and what my strategy is. I've said it. I repeat myself all the time about it, so I'm sure you all know. But yeah, I think it's a bit too oversimplified. Yeah, you'll get moves here and there. I'm not interested really in a 20% move or a 25% or even a 30% move. It doesn't interest me as much as a nice position, on a nice signal that will allow my profits to continue over a prolonged period of time, and then you just cash out at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10x or more. So let's have a look at Bitcoin, because I suppose it is the same thing. I've got the Bitcoin app up actually. I'm kind of going between HyperTrader and Bitcoin app. It's not Bitcoin, Binance app. What I have noticed about this HyperTrader, like I say, I'm not trying to sell you anything, but it is, for some reason, it's able to pull through Binance's charts faster than the Binance app. The only thing is I've not bothered to completely learn it. I don't know how to get loads of multiple tabs up, so I'm going to use both today. But I do really like the way that this is. It must be easier on my memory or something like that, but it's definitely easier to work around, faster to load up. Right, so I suppose what we're thinking about now is I suppose the only way that we can spice this whole Bitcoin thing up is to think about the smaller term time frames, which isn't really my strong point, but it can still be done. And I suppose technically it has been done. I said a few days back that we were likely to head up to the 41,000 area and maybe a bit higher. And I think that's probably where we are going. I think we are going to go a little higher. And just before we started this live stream, I saw a little bit of I suppose short hunting really, and I can show you what I think that was all about. There's definitely a massive amount of manipulation in the market, and we all know this, right? Even on the basic levels. I don't know if you watch Crypto Face. It's kind of moreish, to be honest with you, to watch Crypto Face. Whenever he's done when he goes live, I've got my actual notifications on now, because it's just so. There's something about it so because it's really not my style, to go about trading with such massive amounts on leverage. But I do like watching somebody else do it. I suppose it's like watching a cage fight or something like that. I would never do it, but I definitely watch it, But yeah, I mean, he on occasion has managed to move the market. I mean, look, I moved the holochain market. I made my little indentation on that chart when it was, when nobody wanted it, when it was trading at very low volume. So it is possible to move a market on the short terms. On the long terms, much harder to do that. I'd probably say it's almost impossible to make a continuous move on the long term. But we can see, and I'll show you now on the 15-minute chart, what a manipulation is, which is that basically. That is a manipulation and a half. So what we have here, just like any chart, right? What we look at how are moving averages, how is everything set up, what's the overall direction, what's the best entry point for somebody who wants to go in on a leveraged position. So breaking down from here is all good and fine. Breaking down below here, you can see a big reaction coming down below the 200 exponential. Then we got our 15-minute death cross. For what it's worth, just strengthening the trend. So it would make sense that going short around these levels is an appropriate way to do it. If breaking down from here, now we see this and we see these opportunities here coming up to the center of the Bollinger Band. That's a short position. That's a short position. Hang on a minute, a little bit fishy going on here, and then suddenly potentially high leverage longers get completely wiped out at let's just say this would have been a good entry point here. So it's only negative 67. This one would have been the next entry point, I suppose, if you were really trying to do it. There's only a negative 1%. But for people who highly leverage, and I mean like highly leverage, everybody's getting super mega bearish based upon this incoming death cross on the daily. Everybody wants a piece of that, and shorts are racked up high. I think funding rates, from what I understand, is still negative. Yeah, so or at least neutral to negative. So a lot of shorts taking place. That was a manipulation wick there to wipe some people out. People will. If you're a responsible trader, I suppose, doing high leverage, what you would do is you would enter your short position here. and this is, like I say, no responsible trader does high leverage to start with. So that's a contradictory statement to start with. But if they were to, you'd be like, okay, I'm in profit. Okay, I'll put my stop loss at take profit. Put my stop loss at take profit. And you know, these ones just about managed to keep you safe. This one just wiped you out. It's all about liquidity. Do you know what I mean? Just taking those people for a run. Now, overall, like we are still in this range, and there's a range within the range, and this is what we've been speaking about and what I talk about on my channel in general. So it is too early to call it the accumulation period, but as far as it is right now, I mean, it could be that, right? It could be an accumulation period. I'm only going to call it accumulation. It'll be safe enough to call it accumulation in maybe a month from now if we're still fleshing out this range, which I hope and think that we probably will be, right? So there's a range within the range. First range is more or less where we came down to test, but we could call it 30,000. I'd like to call it 30,000 and think about the center of the range as 33. The top side being this 200 exponential. That's the first range. That's a 37% range. That one there. That is the first range. So that's range number one, where most of the price action is going to take place within. There's also a range below that I would say would be about 20 what's going on here? 20 oh my god, 28,000 roughly thereabouts. This area is the lower side of the range, and the upper top side of the range, massive top side, is going to be about 49,000 give or take, right? 49,000 give or take. The breakdown points, we had a nice bounce here, breakdown definitely from here. We had a little bit of movement around here, so roughly give or take 48 to 50,000, right? So we just call it a flat 49,000. So that makes the outside range of a lot larger, 71%. So we've got the inside range where most of the price action is going to take place, to which we've already seen the majority of it, and the outside range being a lot larger than that. And we will likely see tests of this and probably tests of this, but there's still the majority being around here, and the center of the range being about 33,000, which is the green 50 exponential on the weekly, which is key. We want to close weeklies above here, so I'm okay to see tests down to this level. That's fine with wicks, definitely, but I would not want to see a rejection. If we come down here, close a weekly candle, I'll be getting quite anxious at that point, get a little bit scared. Not massively, but a little bit, definitely, because it does imply full on breakdown to a lot lower, to around, well, potentially, between 12 and 16. But we're not going to entertain that yet, because that's not what the chart is saying. That's not the setup we've got right now. The setup we've got right now is still okay for what it's worth. We are above this 50 exponential moving average. And just for a laugh, we'll have a look, and you've seen it all before, but the long-term chart looks like this. The green 50 exponential generally holds for the vast majority of Bitcoin's lifespan, and there are periods when we come down below it, and that is confirmed bear market. So a confirmed bear market there. Technically, a confirmed bear market here, and we actually spent a few weeks below it here, which was a little concerning at the time, but I wasn't particularly that bothered by it because this is still very early on in the bull market. So that is that. And also, so I suppose I know you guys are relatively seasoned now in all of this. You're not newbies or anything, but I often see and hear people talking about bull run. Is this the end of the bull run? So there's a difference between a bull market and a bull run. Right, and I'm probably, I'm teaching my granny to suck eggs here, as they say around here. But a bull market is let's just say this was the start of the bull market around about, where was it? I'm losing track here. So here, this is basically the start of the bull market. Here, reclaiming the 200 exponential on the daily, and we've been in a bull market ever since. Right, so we've had ups, we've had downs, we've had ups, we've had downs. This is still a bull market, right? A bull run, I suppose, is when things start to get especially overheated, or they start going parabolic. So, is this the end of the bull run? Well, I would say, yeah. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that. We're down. How far are we down now? 50-60% from the top. So yeah, this is the end of the bull run, but you don't need me to tell you that. We are certainly down from the top, and we are not parabolic anymore. But is this the end of the bull market? No. As far as this chart's concerned, no. It would suggest that it's not the end of the bull market. The bull market might be put into question, breaking down and being rejected from this green 50 exponential, as we would do normally when we break down from here after a bull market is finished. So we all knew that this is roughly going to be the bubble pop, and this is the end of the bull market. That's based on the way that it works on its 4-year cycle, and it corresponds to pretty much how it worked 4 years prior. So that made a lot of sense. And yeah, we danced around and then we broke down from it. That's the end of a bull run and a bull market. Same thing going on here. This is the end of the bull run and the end of the bull market. And you know, not that we can say that this is the same as what's going on right now, but it's kind of similar. So this kind of feels a little bit like what's going on right now. It's the end of this bull run, but not the end of the bull market. Yeah, still got a little bit a life left in it, you know. That's how I'm feeling about Bitcoin. You know that. You all know that. So, you know, short-term time frames, I suppose, is what the only thing that we've got going for us if we really want to be interested in crypto or even try and play things and see someone made an epic trade, you know. And then again, you know, I'm not here to tell you what to do. It's my own opinions and stuff, and my, I suppose, very basic way of interpreting the charts. You can add lots of different things to your charts and you can just overcomplicate things, but really what we're looking at is we're looking at strength at the point now of support and resistance. That's all we're looking at. We're looking at basic support and resistance. So the basic support on the larger term time frames is going to be 33,000, because that's a very, very strong support zone. That 50 exponential moving average on a weekly. So that's very, very strong support. Very strong support. When we're talking about resistance, we bring it down to a daily, and what we see here is obviously we're going to get rejected. I would expect most of the time get rejected from this 200 exponential, and then if we break above there, we've got the green 50, we've also got the purple 50. So that's the 50 exponential, that's purple 50, simple. But overall, you know, this isn't an uptrend, is it? It's definitely not an uptrend, and you don't need me to tell you that. So we play this for what it's worth, and you know, just recently we've managed to stay above the center of this Bollinger Band, and it would appear that on this pullback today, we've come down to the 10 exponential, which is good to see. So it's okay to see that, you know, that's reassuring to an extent, because it would suggest that, okay, so finally we've got a moving average in our favour, because we haven't really had one of those in a while. They've all been against us since we've been breaking down. Every single moving average has turned on us and turned to a resistance. It would appear that maybe this could be a support. But again, you know, it's only a 10 exponential. It's not going to beat the 200. This is the big daddy. This is like a great grandson who's, you know, 12 years old, who's trying to fight his big hard great granddad. It's just not going to work, you know. I mean, it could. The 10 exponential, it will grow over time, and if he crosses over here, and we start to make our moving averages cross bit by bit, they all will start to not be against us, they'll all be for us. You know, we can start to use them all as supports, but for the moment this is pretty much it. We've got the center of the Bollinger Band here, we've got the 10 exponential here, so it's working out okay. So I am entertaining the idea that we do make a push up to these levels, but you know, from these levels I think the sentiment for most people is still going to be bearish. There's still going to be a lot of people looking to pile on the shorts. There's still a lot of messing around with derivatives that, you know, people shouldn't really be doing that, to be honest. Hang on. You shouldn't really be playing around with derivatives unless you're looking to do some scalping, which is perfectly fine. But for me, I like the big long trades, and that's what I want. I'm not really interested in going long or short around these zones. But if there were to be an opportunity to try a long, I would probably try it around about this zone here. So this white line here, around about 37,000. It's just above the centre of the Bollinger Band, and if we do manage to make a stab down at that level, I'll do a low leverage long. You know me, I don't talk about derivatives much. I don't do it much, and I don't like to promote it either. But I think I probably would. I think I probably would try one around there. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And again, I'm not going to be looking to take this up to the moon or anything. I would be scaling out with that long. I would be taking profit from the long at these levels. So 50% here, and then from the latter 25 here, and maybe let the rest ride just in case it did come up there. And I would definitely look at closing it. I'm not looking for a massive reversal or anything. I'm hoping that we don't get one. The longer we spend accumulating, and the longer we're likely to do it anyway, but the longer we spend accumulating at this zone, you know, the giant zone, the better, because it lends itself to a much bigger move in the long run, and a more sustainable market overall. if we blow our top and just start just moving up ridiculously, soon, I'm not. I would be. I'd be a little bit annoyed. I mean, it'd be good because obviously I've still got a lot of skin in the game, but I would be a bit disappointed. It wouldn't be what this chart is supposed to do. If we think about the way that this kind of reached its top, you can think about that as how long it's likely to take from these tops. So if we think about this before the breakdown point, it's about 79 days, 80 days. And we think about where we broke down from, so we can measure it from here. And roughly, we'll be looking about, August, really. August. We'll probably already be in a better position by then, but I'm not looking for this situation to resolve itself until we've gone through a longer period of accumulation, just as this managed to, I suppose, redistribute, really, is what it ends up looking like. And I suppose that technically is what it is. I suppose that's technically what was happening here. It was redistributing. It reached a peak, and it slowly got sold off until it broke down, really, in a massive way. So I'll be looking at the same amount of time, basically, give or take. Maybe give or take a month. Nothing's going to be. I'm not going to say, 80 days is up. Let's go long. Get those kidneys out. Put them on the table. Sell them. Let's go long. But generally speaking, I would be very surprised and annoyed to see us break above 50,000 and continue up and make new all-time highs. I'd be a little bit worried that we would then go into a real bubble pop, which would be a lot nastier than the things that we've already experienced. At the moment, the chart's okay. I like the way the chart's moving. I like the way it's going. And on top of that, if we do get this death cross, which is everybody's talking about, I also think that a lot of this death cross is kind of priced in, which sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, but I've seen it before with Bitcoin, not on the daily, but on the 4 hourly. There was we were coming out of 2019's mini bear market, yeah. So it was pretty long drawn out. There was a period where we were going to get a golden cross. The golden cross was coming. Everyone was going, the golden cross, yes, this is what we need. It's definitely going to happen. I can see it. I can see the way that those moving averages are going to move, and I can picture that making a cross in the next few days. And people were going crazy. People were just racking up longs, and it got to the point where you're like, well, I can see that happening. It's unavoidable. Maybe all it needs is for that cross to happen, and then the stars will align, and then it will go straight to the moon. So I think everybody's thinking about this death cross in the same way. That they're thinking this will mark the absolute end of Bitcoin. I've seen some mega bearish statements being put on my comments on YouTube. You're dead. You're gonna die, man. You're dead. And you're like, I bet you. I'm not going to ask, but I bet you're thinking about the death cross, aren't you? They should have just called it a negative cross or something. The fact that it's called a death cross does make it sound worse than it normally is. And to be honest, in any normal circumstance, a death cross, and to be honest, a death cross would largely play out to a bearish extent. But is it going to mark the end of Bitcoin's life and civilization as we know it? Probably not. I've seen very, very crappy death crosses in the past. We can have a look back in time. We can have a look at this one, for instance. This was the death cross. You get most of the bearish trend had played out by this point. It had pretty much all been done. And whoops, I don't want to go onto marketing. I want to go back to my TA. That's annoying. No software is devoid of being really annoying. Right, so yeah, the bear market, it's not a bear market, the downtrend, the consolidation had played out to this extent. We were already down here before the death cross actually happened. 48 to a wick of 51% move, and then finally the death cross played out. What was the wick here? Actually, yeah, on the day of the death cross, we had another 11% max, to the lowest wick after that, 11.5%. But generally speaking, the bottom was almost in, really. I mean, it wasn't far off. What's another 10% between friends? Especially after you've gone through all this together. I'll take it. Now I'll take another 10%. No big deal. Now I'm not saying that this is going to play out again in the same way, but what I am saying is that at the end of the day, a death cross is a death cross. Fair enough. It will likely make its mark, but is it going to mark the end? Is it going to be, is it all going to be over because of a simple moving average cross? No. And if you think about the way that this looks, this is almost one of those moments, isn't it? Where we go, right, look, we're breaking down, look, the death cross is coming, oh my god, it's definitely going to happen, look at this trajectory, and bang. Bang. I remember that. I remember where I was driving in a car, I was going to pick somebody up. I was going to pick somebody up in the car, and this was going on at the time. 40% move when there was an incoming death cross. I know that this was based upon some kind of news event or something to do with China. It's always to do with China. But still, if we look at this and go, I know what's going to happen. Look, trust me, a few days from now, this is going to be, whoa, liquidated. Don't play a signal until the signal has been generated. So, yeah, I kind of had the same kind of sneaky suspicion that something mad might happen again like that. Again, it's not worth using derivatives in a time like this. It's very far and few between that I'd ever use them. But look, death cross, we've seen an example of an incoming one that got blown out the water. We've also seen an example of a death cross that played out, which was pretty underwhelming because largely the move had already taken place. So yeah, I've rambled long enough. Oh my god, I've rambled for 26 minutes. Sorry about this. But it's worth showing these examples and putting things into perspective. I'm okay with this going sideways for another couple of months. I think that that's actually what's going to happen. And if you're clever enough, if you've got the time to do it, should I say, rather than being clever, because it's pretty easy stuff, really, I suppose. Then yeah, just casually do some little bits of spot trading. Casually. If this is the range that we're going to be in, then yeah, fine. Sell at resistance. And buy at support. Whether you're doing the inside range or the outside range, doesn't really matter. Just take it very slow and casual. Never be all in, never be all out. We never know what's going to happen exactly. But yeah, just build upon a Bitcoin base, around the inside and the outside range. I know personally, I've got some buy orders down here. They might not get filled. I think they probably will, or they might not, but that's fine. Mostly I'm buying and I'm not really selling, to be honest with you, because I'm that lazy of a trader, and my view is much bigger than just this accumulation period. I've been doing some very casual spot trading, but really it's just a matter of picking it up as and when, whether you're dollar cost averaging, if you're getting your buy orders filled, and if you see a particular area where you think that it's likely to come down. Anyway, that will definitely do for now. And let's have a look at some of these things. So I'm going to open this to the public, so I'm assuming you've got all your bits and bobs put in there. Let's open this up to the masses, see if they fancy a little piece, and I'll also just put the link on the main Telegram chat, and then we'll get started. Hang on a second, it'll be 10 seconds. Taste. I'm pretty sure I spelt taster wrong there, but you'll be the judge of that. It's all on the live stream. Obviously, you all know by now I'm massively dyslexic. Right, so let's have a look at this. So let's have a look at these things. Let's have a look at Theta, Ada, and Rune, and if I have time, Nav. Okay, I heard you, and they're already here. So let's have a look at Rune to start with. Right, so if I'm thinking about the Bitcoin dominance chart, which I always am, I'm thinking about these charts getting particularly nasty. So if it's technically in a downtrend and it's not in an uptrend yet, then I'm not going to be interested in it. There's nothing bullish about Rune right now. Only thing that's interesting about it would be potential bounces at the 200 exponential. I do expect a lot of altcoins, especially the smaller ones, to get wrecked. And this one's not particularly old. It came onto the scene, had a massive run, then broke down massively. I think it's likely to break down, to be honest with you. And this is just based upon the way that the Bitcoin's going to range. And there could be a chance that altcoins do have a small alt season while Bitcoin's going sideways. But I'm personally more guarded against the idea of going into altcoins, particularly at this stage, because the Bitcoin dominance chart, and I suppose this is something that's I might as well speak about. The Bitcoin dominance chart pretty much tells me right now that we're not at any kind of resistance. So because we're not at resistance, and also we're not even at support, we're right in the middle, which means that it could go either way. It could go either way, and so I would rather be more guarded about it going, up, which means that altcoins might get smashed, or Bitcoin's the best place to be, than it going down and making a quick, a nice amount of money from a decent run. Remember, the way I like to play this chart is very much support and resistance, and so we're floating around at quite a low level still, and technically, the last couple of weeks we've been going up. I imagine that we probably will find our way up to the resistances. That's where we'll start to look at some altcoins and get particularly interested in it. The chart is bearish, definitely, overall, but personally, I think Bitcoin is going to accumulate, and every time Bitcoin goes up on its own, I think it's going to outperform the majority of alts, and then every time Bitcoin comes down, it's going to push alts further down. So it's a kind of a lose-lose situation, I think, for alts at the moment, and this chart more or less tells me that it's neither here or there, but you stand to lose more than you gain. So for most altcoins, unless there's a very, very strong looking chart, it has to be very strong, I would stay away from it. So take that on board. This is what we're thinking about. This is how we should view altcoins right now. We're neither here nor there. The risk to reward is not good, which means that you're likely to you'll be risking more than you would be looking to gain. So in that respect, is it time? I don't think it's time, not yet. It would definitely be worth considering going into alts around about 50 to 52% dominant, and definitely if we were to move up higher into this band around here, that'd be fine. But personally, not at this stage. Now look at how it's behaved in the past. So this was the bubble pop, 2017-18. There was some nice alt rallies, but Bitcoin, Bitcoin soon became the leader again, and it didn't really care. It went straight up. And if you remember, I made a video about altcoins and Bitcoin dominance the other day. This run here, as small as it might look on the chart, was devastating to alts. It was devastating. This wrecked altcoins massively for about 3 months. Small cap coins basically lost money. Top cap coins didn't really make as much, they didn't make as much as Bitcoin. Bitcoin outperformed everything, and that was only a small portion of the chart, a very small portion of the chart. So if worst case scenario is that we do start to slice through these resistance levels and push our way, probably not to the top, but you can see all I'm trying to say is that it was a small move on the Bitcoin dominance chart. It was devastating for some of these small cap alts, and also it was you'd be better off in Bitcoin, and that was just from that small move. We're all the way down here. We've got plenty of room to move if we were to. A small amount to make up if we were to come down to here. The risk to reward for altcoins right now is pretty much it's off the charts. It's not really worth. I don't think it's worth entertaining taking on that kind of risk. And when we look at this, what we see is a bearish consolidation against Bitcoin. So this means that whatever we can measure out here is a lot worse in real life, because Bitcoin's down 50% at the moment. This is down 50% against Bitcoin, which means that actually, if you were to be holding this, you'd be pretty much absolutely wrecked. You'd wish you could turn back the time and go, I wish I owned Bitcoin and then got wrecked, rather than owned Rune and got wrecked. So what we're seeing here is a bearish chart versus Bitcoin. So it's not really a place to be. You might catch a bounce. Obvious place would be down 200 exponential. That's all it's going to be. There's no buy signals on this one right now. And again, it's a young chart, which means that it's as great as it was on the way up, it can be devastating on the way down, and be prepared for that. ADA, let's have a look at that. So again, this one's it's not particularly bullish. It's consolidating from its previous high. It didn't reclaim its high on this last attempt, and it's in a bearish portion of the Bollinger Band. But for what it's worth, it's not as bad as Rune from what we've just seen, but I don't expect great things from it. I expect bounces around here, but these bounces that we've had now were quite anemic. So we came down, okay, we had a good one there. Well, it wasn't that good, but it was good enough. We've not had one here. We've had a pretty crappy one here, so not a massive fan of how that's going to play out. I think that this is also, I think it's also pretty crappy looking, to be honest. given the way I've chosen to view and everything I've just said about, you know, altcoins and the Bitcoin dominance chart, I don't think it's very good. If we go down to the 4-hourly chart, we do have an incoming death cross, like immediately, basically over the next few days. We'd have to really have a decent move to try and get out of that. It would have to go up 3%. Just to, you know, it would really, to be honest with you, it's going to have to go up about 5% really to avoid that. And I mean, literally immediately, it's going to have to go up there over the next couple of days. So we're going to incur that. And what that means is, you know, 4-hourlies, they do play out. This is likely to push this chart down, you know, in my opinion, slowly but surely. I'm not one for saying that death crosses mean a big dynamite move down. It just generally, especially when we're looking at a chart like this, where it's only just starting a potential downtrend versus Bitcoin, it's probably going to take a little bit of time to balance out. It's pretty crappy down here at the moment. It's probably going to start to go down further and further and further over time. I'm not a fan of it. And again, just like everything else I've said on about altcoins and the Bitcoin dominance chart and so on and so on. Theta, slightly better, definitely slightly better. So let's have a look. Do we have any particular signals on this one? We kind of got yeah. So the main signal, the main buy signal was this here that seems to potentially have already played out. So that, where was this? 26 periods. Yeah, so this was the buy signal here. I'm not just saying this because because I can see it. This is the Ichimoku cloud telling us something big. We're going to get one of those pops. And again, this isn't a continuation of a trend pop. This is just a nice big pop after this candle body close. So we closed here, and then since then we had a 31% move. So that's pretty much played out now. And the reason this would have happened, if you know, I'm going to have to add this to the Patreon really about, you know, the second way that you can do a decent move with the Ichi cloud. You wait for the portion to go green at the end, so one part here. You wait for the price action to close above the cloud, so that was done here. You check to see if the Chiku span closed above the cloud as well, which is over here, and then that lends itself to a move, which is what we got. So that one's already played out, but for what it's worth, it's still okay as far as the moving average is concerned. It's still okay, but pretty volatile stuff going on here. Pretty volatile stuff. Let's just check the weekly on this one, see where we are in relation. So the weekly looks okay, to be honest, on its chart formation, but bearish divergence taking place here as well. So I am still skeptical over this chart as well. I'm going to be skeptical over all altcoin charts. I'm not going to be sold on anything particularly. And yeah, if we think about Theta here on the 4-hourly, it's a real sort of mess really. So you can't really trade that either. Yeah, you can't really trade that either, I'm afraid. And probably will break down as Bitcoin goes sideways with the pumps up and the moves down, basically outperforming on the way up and, you know, bringing alts down every time it goes further down. I'm not a fan of alts right now. Someone actually commented on my YouTube, called me a Bitcoin maxi. Said he's a Bitcoin maxi, they always come out in the end. I'm like, oh my god. It's just, honestly, you don't know me. Oh my god, this is just madness that people can say this. He's a Bitcoin maximalist. He's only talking about Bitcoin going up. Yeah, it's based upon charts and everything. You know, I haven't read any books on Bitcoin or anything like that. I'm not related to Max Kaiser. I've not gone to any events. It's just the way that the market's presenting itself, I'm afraid. And then I'll go back into alts big time when the time's right. So again, yeah, for what it's worth, it's not worth much. This chart looks better than the ones we've just seen, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look great. Not worth taking any risks on. What else was there? Oh yes, your friend who wants to have a look at NAV. Let's have a look at that then, shall we? So what's all this about then? What's your mate? What does he know that we don't? I mean, looking at this daily chart, it's pretty nondescript, isn't it? Really, maybe he knows something that we don't. But this chart alone had a slow and steady uptrend, and then basically slow and steady downtrend. Looks like we're going to get a death cross, perhaps, maybe over the next few weeks if we break down again. There's no buy signals on here, but on the daily it seems better than most. What we would look for, and we probably won't get it because of the way that the nature of this cloud. but over a period of weeks, maybe months, to be honest, we'll see this portion going green over here, and we'd want to see at least our price action get above the cloud, bounce really, and so on. Let's have a look at this weekly. So the weekly is not going to have much of a chance with a giant cloud like this. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of this one either. So I don't know what your mate's seen, or if he knows something about the tech, but there's definitely nothing on the chart really that I can spin in any positive light. Not immediately, or at least for the next 40 days or whatever. Right, CC, can you please give your thoughts on ETH long term? Any appropriate entry points? Yeah, well, let's have a look then, shall we? Let's have a look. I'll tell you what, we'll go on the old HyperTrader app because it's just faster, and it'll be clean as well. I don't have any. Oh, we've got Coinbase. We're looking on Coinbase Pro. No, we don't want to do that. We want to have a look on Binance. Right, let's have a peep, shall we? Right, and we're thinking about long term. Right, so on the daily, the obvious place would be a retest of down here, the 200 exponential. I know this sounds like, to a lot of people, like, that can't possibly come down to there. ETH is going to take over. I heard that institutions are buying it and things. I mean, yeah, I'm sure they are, but it doesn't stop something from being overvalued, at the time. When we think about ETH, this took me by surprise. I bought quite a lot of ETH. In the beginning of 2019, roughly about $160, and sailed it up, quite high. But I never expected it to reach this far. No. And when people start talking about the $10,000 ETH, I can see that being a thing one day. But yeah, when I saw it going up all these ways, I was like, my God, kind of overvalued really. So let's have a look. I would say the first opportunity for you to at least make an attempt of buying would be about $2,000, and it doesn't mean that that's where it's going to stay. That's still pretty high for ETH. You go to a weekly. If we break down below this, below the center of this Bollinger Band on the weekly, then the next area would be about $1,500. So yeah, and that is all. I'm not saying likely, but it's possible. It's possible given what we're talking about with Bitcoin dominance. If we think about Ethereum being potentially overvalued at this stage in the market, or just this stage in general, it's pretty expensive for one Ethereum. It's very expensive, then yeah, we could have that in our sights as a buy order. That would be maybe not the dream, but a dream to catch it down here. And again, sometimes when we look at these charts, it might seem impossible that it does come down to there, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't make a plan just in case it does go down to there. There's nothing wrong with buying into an uptrend when it's set in stone, right? So if we go back into an uptrend and everything's good and rosy, then that's fine. What we should try and think about is safety rather than the most amazing entry point on catching a knife, for instance. Catching knives can be instantly gratifying. They can also be pretty deadly. That's why they call them knife catching. If you want to do some good trading, you buy into strength, you buy into an uptrend. What does this look like right now? Well, it looks, to be honest, pretty nasty. And as far as the Bollinger Band strategy is concerned, so long as we hold above the center of this Bollinger Band on the weekly, so the 20 weekly, 20 weekly moving average, then things are okay. But given what we see with the Bitcoin dominance chart and the potential for Bitcoin to go sideways and outperform alts on the way up and bring them down on the way down, then I think where could Ethereum be potentially? Where could it be if it had to sustain another couple of months worth of that? Then it could break down. It could break down to this level. If we think about Bitcoin where we are at right now, so we're about 38,000, something like that. If we came down to 28,000, which I think is potentially. It's not unlikely that we do that. You can imagine what would happen to Ethereum if we did break down. So let's just measure this out just for fun. It's not far away. It's a 37% move. That's all it is. And if we think about Bitcoin, what would Bitcoin be if it broke down to the This is annoying actually. That is annoying. If it broke down back down to the level that I'm not massively expecting, but potentially could do. So we've got Ethereum at 37, and we've got Bitcoin breaking down to about 28. Sounds about right to me. Sounds about right. So if Bitcoin did test the lower side of this range, 28,000, Ethereum would almost certainly, or very likely, break down to the tune of 37, down to the green 50 exponential, where on the weekly, where Bitcoin is generally likely to reaccumulate roughly around that zone. So yeah, about 1,500 max would be the lowest, or generally about $2,000 generally. Again, it's going to be an accumulation range, but I still think alts have got further to fall while Bitcoin goes sideways. And always expect the worst with altcoins, I'm afraid. Always expect the worst. So, Uncle Rich been looking at Ethereum pairs for possible Oktoberfest. Oh, you're right. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Could you look at all requests in? Could you look at all requested alts in BTC and Ethereum? Well, I suppose I could. Yeah, that too. The MACD cross on the weekly looks quite scary. Also, that incoming cross on the Ichimoku cloud on ETH. Right. Well, I didn't look at any of that. I'm just basing it on the overall view. But yeah, I've not got ETH up anymore. But it would appear that Ethereum, being the leader of altcoins, is lagging behind Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin dominance pumps like I expect it to, and Bitcoin overperforms and outperforms altcoins, then it won't take long for people to jump ship and go into, and it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy like it did around September last year. And I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but if it did happen again, you would not want to be in altcoins. You might as well play it safe and get into Bitcoin and expect, even if it goes down, you're not going to be losing as much. So yeah, I think Ethereum is lagging and is just holding on to its. Well, I think it's going to break down, to be honest with you, over time. But still not the end of it. I still think when people talk about the $10,000 Ethereum goal, I don't think it's unlikely either. I really don't think it's unlikely. Not at this stage now, where everybody wants a piece, and it's as far as the technology is concerned and the implications of everything that they actually achieve as a blockchain, it's very likely to go up, and maybe even beyond 10,000. But right now, it's not. Depends what your strategy is, and how long you're looking to wait out. If you're looking to buy and hodl, or simply just invest, I suppose there's not really any. This entry point, you could go into these entry points right now, go into hibernation, check it in a year, you should be okay. You should actually be laughing. Do you know what I mean? One thing I always try to say to people, especially on the top tiers of the Patreon, is that alright, sometimes what we have to accept that there's no perfect entry point, but what we can look at doing is getting a near perfect exit point. So it depends on your expectations and your time frames, but if you're happy just to get in, then that's what you've got to do. You've got to jump in and then focus on your exit point, because there is no perfect entry point. We're very, very, very lucky if you to get the perfect entry point, and it takes patience, and a lot of people don't have that. I think it's a human nature, isn't it? We all just want to be involved in, especially when we start trading, and even when we're in trading, we always feel like we can't. We've got ants in our pants. We want to continue to trade. We don't feel like we're doing anything unless we've got some money trading, but technically that's not really the best way. Sometimes you just have to accept that you can't control the market. You have to run with it. You know what I mean? You can't go against the current. You might as well just go with it, and that's the best way to do it. You can't rush a fish onto your hook when you're going fishing. You have to sit and wait for that fish to bite. The analogies are flowing today. CC, can you have a look at STPT? Yep, never heard of it. Let's have a look. Right, 17 bitcoins in a 24-hour period. Sounds pretty deadly to me, to be honest with you. Right, so the Bitcoin chart does not look happy. Negative cross here. We've got a form of we've got high, lower high, lower high, I think what we're waiting for is a plunge into the depths of hell here. Given the fact that we're trading in such low volume as well, that could easily happen. Let's just have a look at it on Tether as well. So yeah, Tether's hanging on for dear life. We're looking at it here on a weekly as well, by the way, which is basically saying that if we break down below here, then yeah, we're probably going to come back down to pretty much where we bottomed out. I would not be a fan of this one. Let's have a think about what this means. So far 67, it's about 65. Well, this would mean a 90%. This would not surprise me at all in the slightest if we break down below here and spend and go into an actual bear market for such a small cap coin. Small caps is really not the place to be. Absolutely, definitely not. So I'm not a fan of it. Not a fan at all. It's scary, the fact that it's such low volume in such an unpredictable stage of the market where Bitcoin dominance is threatening everything with potential wreckage, and especially things like this are going to be extremely vulnerable. Think about what it takes to take 17 Bitcoins out of the market for this. Let's just say 10 Bitcoins were taken out. It's left with 7 Bitcoins on a 24-hour trading period. That's going to cause one hell of a dump on this chart, you know. But then I suppose the good thing is that when this does finally reach its bottom, and if it does actually play out a decent signal, then there'll be some major pumpage. But for now, oh god, I would be way too scared to touch that. Right, are you lot talking amongst each other? That's fine. I know you pay for it, but it's good to understand the context of what CC says. Alright, okay, that's fine. You guys chat amongst yourselves. Where am I? Evening, CC. I'm looking forward to buying some bottoms in the future. Appreciate your honesty about the markets. Well, you know, you have to be. you can't make it stuff up. Like I say, I appreciate that my YouTube goes downhill in bear markets, but I'm not prepared to start talking a load of nonsense just to get the views up, you know, which I'm sure plenty of people do. I do have a little bit of clickbaity stuff from here and there, but it's backed up by at least something. I don't just make something out of the blue. I don't know how some of these people can do it. Do you know what I mean? Just say stuff. Just, I'll go on the internet and say something. You know, the ramifications for the people who watch it, I don't care if they buy, sell, or, you know, do whatever. I'm just going to get some more views. Yeah, I'll say something. I'll just say anything, just as long as it sounds good. I think what I say is good. Just because something is not likely to go up tomorrow doesn't mean it's not good. What we're looking at here is a potential really decent opportunity in the long run. We should be enjoying the fact that there is potential reaccumulation taking place at this level, and that we don't have to rush to get into any positions as well. That, in my opinion, that's like really good. It means I can carry on with my life. I can enjoy the summer. I can carry on looking at Bitcoin and altcoins in the corner of my eye casually, and see where we are in the next couple of months. And if we're higher, great. If we're lower, great. Doesn't really matter. Both options, whether Bitcoin is going up or going down, has a much better opportunity than trying to make trades in a situation like right now. So I think, you know, rather than trying to be a moon boy, or I suppose what's the opposite of a moon boy? These people who are scaring people to death. I don't know what their name is, but rather than being one of those people, I think what I'm saying is probably it's not very popular because I suppose people don't really like it, but I think it's better. I think it's better. It's actually really good news. Do you know what I mean? Chill out, wait for a couple of months. I think we're going to go sideways in a large range. If you want to accumulate in the reaccumulation phase, that's great. If you want to wait it out, that's great. And we'll see where we are in 2 months from now. Where this whatever the situation is right now will be coming to an end, and then we can watch and wait and see. Right, let's have a look. More rumours on Algo and XLM with JP Morgan. Oh, brilliant. That's great. That's good to know. Right. Is my internet connection being weird again? That's fine. That's fine. Right, let's have a look. Thanks for the last time Ichimoku Cloud explained. Could you tell me if ever used settings, if you ever used settings, or do you recommend some people recommend for crypto? Oh right, so yeah, no, I leave it as it is. I think if you start tampering with things, it might make it better, it might make it worse. I heard people start using exponentials and things like that with the Ichimoku Cloud, but Yeah, the Itchy Cloud works as you've seen on the examples that I've shown. It works. So because of that, why would I change that? You know, it's the best trades I've done this year, and just in general, I've always been done around the normal Ichimoku Cloud. So if you want to play around with it, feel free to do it. You might get better results, but for me, I'm quite happy with the results that have been yielded by this indicator. So I'll leave it as it is. If it's not broken, you know, why fix it? Like I say, well, you know, Holochain and FET, you know, they were all based on that indicator, and they were epic trades, and there was no tampering or tinkering involved. Right, VTHO, and you want Ethereum as well as there's no Ethereum pair here, so we'll just go straight in on there's no Bitcoin pairing. Jeez, what's going on, Rich? I thought you wanted me to look at, am I looking at the right thing here? Yeah, I am. Right, weekly does not look happy. It's a young chart as well, so the weekly's it's no good. The daily's also pretty rough. I don't fancy that either. Let's take it down a notch. Let's take it to the 4 hourly. 4 hourly. There's one hell of a death cross over here, isn't it? I mean, and again, pretty rough. I don't know what it is that you want me to, why you want me to look at this. To be honest, unless there's something, you know, unless there's something going on with the tech, and maybe it's likely to do something other than just go down. I mean, weekly, daily, and 4 hourly are pretty awful. I mean, they're really awful. And there was a massive big pump there, which could mean something, but it was just a wick, and within a 4 hour period it went up. It definitely went up, what, 80%? Maybe that was some whales getting involved for something big that's coming around the corner, but the chart itself is not looking like it wants to do anything at all. But I appreciate that that's an anomaly. It's probably not a pump group. It's not trading very high, is it? It's 2.5 million. But again, yeah, that shouldn't really deter you from getting a position just because it doesn't trade. If you're very confident in something happening, something that trades low volume is actually can be really good, because it means you're at the top of the pyramid scheme. You know, you've got in at the ground floor, and it doesn't take a great deal of money for you to suddenly start making lots and lots of cash. Like I say, I bring back the Holochain example all the time, because I was very nervous buying into something that was trading at less than $500,000 in a 24-hour period, and I was even more nervous when I saw I made a little dent on the chart. I was like, oh my god, I've made my own wick, that's awful. I'd never done that before, and I got scared, because obviously it was a wick that just went up and down. I was like, oh god, what have I done? But geez, what an amazing trade. But that was based upon signals, and there's no signals here, so I like the fact that something's going on here. But you know, I don't know. The chart is not. It doesn't want to be bought as far as I can see. Not based on the chart, anyway. But if you know something I don't, please share. Since there's not many comments so far, can I add XRP and EOS entry points as it stands right now? Yeah, go on then. We always want to look at these anyway. They're always good. Good for a laugh. We'll go for EOS to start with. I'm getting quite interested in EOS down at these low levels all over again. But you know me and EOS, we go back. We go way back. Right, Binance. Let's have a look at that. We'll look at it versus Tether, because we will. So the 4 hourly says it's not saying much, to be honest. What we are seeing, I suppose, is a little green portion over here, which would be a little key clue that there might be a move at some point when we get the price action and the Chiku span above the cloud, which doesn't look like it's likely to happen anytime soon. So the Chiku span today is over here. So if we can remain above this above here, 40 days. To be honest, there's nothing good about this chart right now. The only good thing about it is if you believe in buying it for the long term, even reject it in and breaking down here from the 200 exponential. So things could come down more for EOS, definitely, and I would definitely be interested in buying it just in general, because overall I'm still pretty optimistic about it. I mean, this move was pretty nice. It was pretty nice, but it's broken its chart structure. Probably makes more sense when we look at it on this, because I've not done any of the analysis here. So EOS. And so all my analysis is on this Bitcoin app, not the other one that I've got. Or so I thought. Where's it all gone? It's just on the weekly. So yeah, the weekly, as far as I can see and as far as I'm aware, is not worth making any kind of bullish assumptions until we break above $7.31. So if we're thinking about buying this in general, we are looking at previous supports and resistances. So the next level I'll be interested in would be just around $4.20. Yeah, get some around there, and then we've got a nice area of support around about $3.40, just below this death wick on this massive weekly death wick. So these would be decent entry points for the long term, but I'm not expecting anything from it for a while. Just like all altcoins, it's probably likely to be pretty nondescript, especially with EOS, which is largely an underperformer until there's some real signals on it. It's not in a period of accumulation from what I can see. It's hanging on for dear life. The only thing that's going to change this is when the bullish exchange comes online, and even then we don't really know the exact effect of how that will transfer to the price of EOS. It should have a decent effect on it, but it, it might just be a non-event. We'll see. I think it's likely to be more of a buy the rumor, sell the news. So we'll see EOS increase in value when there's a launch date, and people will be buying it up, and it'll probably go into an uptrend just based upon the anticipation for the launch of the exchange, and then it probably will get sold off on the day, because why should it go up in value? Why should it go up in value? Why? Just because Block 1 have got a massive exchange? I mean, technically it should, but who knows? And XRP, let's have a look at that. So yeah, I'm not massively bullish on EOS, but I would feel like it would be rude not to pick it up at those levels. So yeah, roughly around about the $4 zone, give or take. XRP, another old friend of mine. So, XRP probably still hanging around that 200 exponential on the daily, I imagine. It's probably what it's doing right now, if we can just get this to load up. See, this is the problem with the Binance app. Yeah, it should be fast, but it's just not, is it? Let's do it on HyperTrader. It's definitely faster at pulling through Binance's own charts. It's mad, really, isn't it, when you think about it? Why is that? Why is it faster? If I can just find it. where is it? Oh, stop being... Oh, there we go, favoritise that. See, that was fast, wasn't it? Binance need to get their act together. Right, so yeah, it's doing as the prophecy suggested. Reaccumulating around the 200 exponential. We will snake around it. We'll have lots of opportunity, just like we always do, and in these times of reaccumulation. So look, first move up, and then reaccumulation. Oop, wicks down. Oh my god, it's dying, and it's back up. Oh my god, it's dying again. And hang on a minute, it's not dead at all. FUD brought it down below, and it spent a fair bit of time below the 200 exponential, but it likes to revisit it all the time. So I would probably say anytime you're around the 200 exponential, it's worth maybe dollar cost averaging in it. Doesn't mean that it can't come down lower. It definitely could. This is the 200 simple moving average where we had a little wick down to it. Look, this area is likely to reaccumulate around here, but for the moment it's still in a downtrend. We can't deny that. It's not bullish. It's not bullish at all. So XRP will give you plenty of time. There's no rush. So what I would, if I'm not advising anybody, because that's not what I'm here for. I'm not a financial advisor. But if I had to say something, I'd say, look, XRP is a very forgiving chart. It doesn't care how much people slag it off. It will give you opportunities to buy, and it will also give you a signal that when it's going to move. For the moment, there's no signals of it going to the moon. But what there is a rough base area of where you could consider buying at, which is the 200 exponential. Now, if we do enter a bear market in the overall crypto market, then obviously this is going to get trashed. It's going to get wrecked. But for the moment, we're under the we're assuming that we're not going into a bear market, but there could still be some potential downwards for altcoins as well as for Bitcoin. So I would expect this to revisit the lows again. But this is the reaccumulation zone as it usually performs and has done in the past. But just because it's done it in the past doesn't mean it won't do it again. The 200 exponential is like a magnet to price action. Whether you're in a bear market or in a bull market, this is generally how it works. Up in a bull market, up in a bull market, above, down, bull market. Bear market test, bear market test, bull market test, bull market test, bull market test. Yeah, wherever you are, bull market or bear market, this is the middle zone really. And so I can't give you a perfect entry point, but what I can say is, based upon its previous behavior in the bull market as well as the bear market, is that this is the medium line, this 200 exponential. Well, I would expect it to go further down, as I expect the market to take further steps down. We're at the top of the inside range, is what we were saying earlier, wasn't it? The Bitcoin is at towards the top of the inside range of accumulation. It could go up to the outside range top, or it could go all the way down to the outside range bottom. That's a 70% range that it's going to be, that it has the area of a 70% range. So that will hurt altcoins, doesn't matter who they are or what they are. And we can look at this chart and go, but the chart says this. It does say that. And normally a chart on it, we can look at a single chart on its own and go, well, that's great. But there is always the other thing that's behind this chart, which is Bitcoin. So we have to look at this and take it, and expect the worst, because we're looking at everything through the lens of Bitcoin as well. The XRP will not be able to do whatever it wants whenever it wants. It's only going to be allowed. It's on a leash being held by Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin wants to go down, doesn't matter how good this chart looks, it's generally going to go down with Bitcoin if that's what happens. So yeah, let's leave it at that. I expect lower range to be tested on this one, but that's for knife catching. When the market picks up and Bitcoin is okay again, I think that's when we really start to address some of these charts. And we look at these charts, and then we look at where the Bitcoin dominance chart is at the time. And if we're coming towards the resistances, then we take our risks on altcoins. It should really be that simple. At the moment, and it doesn't matter what altcoin it is. Not really. It doesn't really matter what the altcoin is. There's no signals for buy signals. What there is potential areas for bounces. But I honestly think that we should play the game of support and resistance on the Bitcoin dominance chart. Then when we come up to an area of potential interest, like here or here, then we go back to the altcoin charts and we see which ones look tasty. See if any of them have anything interesting about them. For the moment, no. I think the risk to reward is still not very equal, and offers a lot of problems. Right, where are we? Matic, right, this will be interesting. I haven't looked at this in a while. Let's have a look at Matic. Matic is an old friend, it's been very kind to me. It's come a long way, and I'm very proud of it. But stop messing around here. Come on, just give me. Oh, come on, yeah, Jesus. Right. I'll make you a favourite, Matic. You should have been a favourite all along. I've only been using HyperTrader for a few weeks, to be honest. Right, Matic to USDT. So it's better than most, I have to say. Definitely better than most, above pretty much most moving averages. Below the centre of the Bollinger Band, though. This portion here, look, we're going red. So when I talk about how we're going to get a nice big move up, when we see a red cloud go green, this one's now gone red. So this is something we have to be thinking about, be careful about. But this isn't going to give us a short signal anytime soon. It's going to take a while. This Chiku span over here needs to get below the cloud, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. We're here right now, so if we go below the cloud, we've got to go down another 7%. In how long was that? How many days would that be? 7% in 24 days. So we go down, stay at that level 24 days from now. That would lend itself to a deeper dive, probably down to the 200 exponential. I would imagine that. And but at the moment, it's hanging on. It's hanging on. 55% potential drop if we hang it around, or if we're at this level or lower. In 24 days, then yeah, it's going to get pretty nasty for Matic. The Matic trade's pretty high. Back in the day it was never like this, but I suppose it was quite high at some points, but I think its run has been made, and it's done its thing, and it's basically just doing a natural consolidation. And I think what we'll see with something like Matic, where it's always had this this epic power to move up and move down, I think you're always going to get really big, decent bounces on it, but I would be a bit hesitant to really think about it in any kind of long-term position right now, because we're essentially consolidating from an enormous run. right? This is an absolutely enormous monster run. I mean, there's no point in even measuring it, to be honest, but it'd be difficult to do it. But yeah, that was brilliant. That was brilliant. It was great, but something should, usually if it goes up, what was that, 12,000%, it's probably going to come down a little bit as well, as people will be in profit, from all the way up here, and they will be thinking to themselves, it's time to get out. Think how many whales were born out of this move alone, just out of this move alone. We were trading it, back down here when these were the biggest moves. When this was the all-time high, we were like, wow, that was big, and we traded it again. We got a 4x. We were so pleased with ourselves when we did that and got out at the top. But look at this, right? So many whales, so much money has been made in this, and so many people, will be thinking, I better get out. To be honest, let's cut and run. Those millions or half millions or quarter millions Matic that people owned back down here are worth a hell of a lot. This is the equivalent now of people pulling out literally, $250,000 out, just in one single trade. So it can be deadly up at these levels, and it's one of these charts which I suppose gives a false sense of security that it's going to always go up. Look, it's gone up 12,000%. I'm not a massive fan of being in it for much longer than I wanted to. I'm all out of this now, all out. And why wouldn't I be? Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying I did 12,000%, but I did a fair bit, and so why wouldn't I be out? Ichimoku Clouds, yeah, it's going to give us another 20 days before anything negative happens. Let's go to the 4 hourly for a laugh. So yeah, Death Cross here, Golden Cross here. This is another example of what, how silly it can be to base your entire life around a simple moving average cross. It's the divergence of those crosses that means the most. Benefit of the doubt, it's looking okay here generally for hanging around at this level for a little bit longer, maybe making another run up. But again, it's an altcoin in a dodgy in a dodgy environment. I would be a bit too scared. It does look like it wants to have a tiny run up, but there's plenty of opportunity for it to come down as well. Scary stuff at the moment. But do we consider Matic a small cap coin anymore? I don't really know. Probably not. So, and Matic has in the past worked counter to a Bitcoin trend. That's why I was trading it for so long. It did its own thing. It actually went up when Bitcoin was going down. I remember it making it one of its epic runs as Bitcoin was literally finishing its 6-month downtrend in 2019. Matic made its new all-time high of about 4 cents. Did a 4x in about 6 weeks, whereas Bitcoin had been going down for about 6 months, and Matic did that. So, it is a decent diversifier, but it has also gone up so fast that I would be a little bit scared. I actually did a BTC3L bot on Pionex that worked out quite well this last time where we were down. Made my losses back. Yeah, those bots can work out quite well. You treat it just like a leverage trade, really. I used to run some of those. You can make some significant, massive gains on it, but again, it is leverage, so it's scary. But yeah, I've seen that. I've seen I've done some epic trades on those Pionex bots. From backtesting death crosses, the majority of the dumps is over by the time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because I suppose with something like crypto, for a death cross to actually be created, I mean, there has to be a long period of downtrend for something like that. So yeah, I think most of the death cross, for what it's worth, is already played out. Right. Ooh, YouTube is letting me post. I don't know what's going on here. If we get time, PREP and YFII. Yeah, all right, cool. Let's have a look at those. I'll look at YFII because it's something that I had a small interest in myself. I called it a day, however, recently, but it did work out okay. I had a Bitcoin YFII bot going, and it actually worked out okay, but I don't like the look of it. So this is the giant fib retracement. This is the the overall accumulation phase that will one day work out. But the way it's looking right now is just looking weaker and weaker and weaker. I would be pretty concerned if we broke down below this red line, 1,366, and closed below there. I'd be pretty concerned if that happened. But yeah, there's nothing bullish about this chart. Let's face it. You know, this is the daily. We've got our death cross, divergence, but you know the Bollinger Bands there are pinching slightly, but there's nothing good about it. There's really nothing good about it. Nothing good about it at all. It was a massive underperformer before, and the reason I was getting relatively happy about it was because it was one of the only coins that if we were to go into a bull market or sustain the bull market that we were in, it lended itself to actually being one of the last ones where you could really do a big move. But unfortunately, the bull run had ended in spectacular fashion. And we never got that opportunity. So let's have a look at this. Right, so this might be one of those times where we get one of those little stabs up based on a 4-hourly Ichimoku cloud conversion baseline. So we've got the cross down here. So 1 part, 2 part here, green cloud. 3 part, we're above the cloud price action. 4th part, we're waiting for the Chiku span to cross above the cloud, which would hopefully happen, you know, over the next couple of days. We have to be above 18, so we have to close a 4-hourly candle above $1,800, and then it will probably lend itself to a stab, probably up to here, which probably, actually it's not very far, is it? But it's not that much, but it's better than nothing. If that's something that you wanted to trade, then that would be a signal. We've not got it yet. We're 3 parts into a 4-part confirmed signal there. And that's what it would mean. But yeah, overall it's pretty crap looking chart, definitely. And again, any altcoins, especially ones like this, which I imagine is trading quite low. Yeah, it's two and a half million. It's not very big. So at best you'll get that trade. At best you will get that trade. At worst you won't get it, and we will likely end up down around about 1,300 over time. For the moment it's holding up okay in this range, but there's nothing good about it. And you could try and catch a knife on the red line, so $1,400 give or take. Maybe we will hold there, and that would be a decent entry point, because I would expect over time that once the accumulation is over, we will launch and we will make our way up to about 8,500 or maybe even 10. I did like it, and I still do for what it's worth, but I don't like it right now. I think there's opportunity in it eventually. Shout out to Uncle Rich and Raz. Oh, all right, you guys are classic OGs of the channel. Right, can't wait for XRP to stop sucking. Yeah, well, I'm not one of those people that absolutely goes mad over anything particularly, but I stand with XRP for the measly $4 prediction that I made. You know what I mean? Which, if you think about it, it's not that far fetched when we think about what we've seen on the chart recently. But when I first said it, oh god, you wouldn't want to go on my YouTube channel when I first said that. Eesh, dear me, it was not a popular thing to say. It was so uncool. Right, if BTC hovers around 39,000, what exact day will the death cross happen? Well, that's something that I think is misleading to say, because I think we've already had a look, haven't we, at some examples of what it means to expect something to happen. But we'll do it for fun, because this is what we do for fun now. We look at death crosses and we enjoy ourselves. So, if this were to happen hanging around at this level, it's very difficult to say. So all we'd really do is we'd say, all right, this looks like the rough trajectory, generally speaking, give or take. That's the 200 exponential, give or take. This is the general kind of vibe of a death cross, which leads us to where's me dates? So that's annoying. That is annoying. Why what is going on? So we'll have to think about it in time. So it's about 5 days. Yeah, so a week from now, at best. A week from now we'll get it. And I'm telling you now, we're probably going to get it. But like I say, if we go back in time, I don't know if you were here at the beginning or when I was talking about the stream, I was talking about, you know, how fake outs happen, or just short hunting, or just manipulation in general. We saw this consolidation happen, and everyone's going, the death cross is coming. Oh my god, quick, into the bunker. And then, you know, it looks like maybe a couple of days before it was due to happen, it was inevitable that it was going to happen, and it did end up happening. But look, we were down behind, it's going to happen, oh my god. And then suddenly, the biggest pump ever, a 40% move in a 24-hour period took place, wiping out so many shorts that were expected. People were getting clever. You know, this is definitely going to happen. Look how far we are down now. Oh, look, we're dumping even more. Look, look, quick. We don't want to miss our opportunity to get wrecked, is what happened here. You got wrecked. So, and then what happened here? All right, yeah, then it went down and the death cross happened. But the death cross happened when we were already down here. So what? We measured this out earlier. It was like 11%, you know, after the death cross. Look, the move had already been played out, you know. The death cross was just the final nail in the coffin that led to a double bottom, which is, in my opinion, similar to what's going to happen here. Let's just say that this death cross happens in the next 5 days or so, and our price is, let's just put it down at the center of the Bollinger Band, and then we take a stab down to, you know, my next entry point at this zone. 28,000 is roughly, you know, what I think is likely, you know, the lowest point of this accumulation. That's a 22% move after a death cross, measuring it just from the center of the Bollinger Band on the daily chart here. All right, that would be enough to scare people out. Going, oh, the death cross is just beginning, it's picking up pace. But then I'd say, I'd think, well, hang on, let's just measure it from the top here all the way down to that level. And it's a 56% move. No big deal, mate. No big deal. Even if we have a wick a little bit further down, it's just to scare people out. That's all it's really there for. I think the majority of the move is played out, and the death cross will emphasise the lower portion of the range, and that's where the accumulation will really pick up pace. And you know, we will probably get some decent opportunities at that level. I'm not saying catch every single knife. I would wait and see how it reacts to this level, but it wouldn't surprise me if we saw some really decent short hunting over the next few days. Potentially, as these are beginning to cross, we will see people getting wrecked with a big move up to the top side of the range, maybe 48, 49, 50, and then you could put some shorts on if you really wanted to, as we sail back down, and then we get the death cross and we come back down to the 28,000. You know, this is just me, you know, not saying that this is how it's going to go, but being around Bitcoin for so long and looking at charts and recognizing what signals are, and also seeing how the powers that be like to manipulate the noob traders that will look at a death cross and think that the cross itself is a signal where it really isn't. You know, we use golden crosses and death crosses on this channel. We look at them all the time and go, but we see them as a sign of strength or weakness. We don't look at them as a signal. In fact, I make a point of showing every time we see a golden cross when we were having all these uptrends. I'll say, look, watch. We saw it almost. It feels like about 75% of the time you get a golden cross, you get a pump, and then you dump straight down into it, all the way back down to the 200 exponential, destroying all those longs that have been piling up. The same is likely to be, you know, with the short here. So anyway, I've rambled a fair bit on that one. So, but again, you know, the death cross it is what it is. I'm not going to lie. It will lend itself to a deeper dive, but I don't think it's going to be the biggest, worst thing anyone has ever seen. And yeah, it looks like it's, if we were to measure it out, it looks like it's going to happen about a week from now. It should have happened by then. Yeah, I changed my view to mostly get BTC, but some coins I want to get in at some point, but I don't want to get in on crappy places. Well, you know me, right? You know what I've been saying this entire time. It's not about just buying things because they're low or lower than they were. We've got plenty of time for things to to give us the chance to buy in a decent signal. So if there's one thing that we accumulate, we might as well just do the accumulation of Bitcoin. And I don't think alts are going to be ready to do anything particularly for a while yet. So just focus on Bitcoin and think about that as your balance. Think about that as your currency. And then when the alt season comes around, and you know what an alt season really is, it's not I just missed out on a 40% move because Jammer told me this, or I thought that. 40% is a good move. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't turn my nose up at 40%, but it's not the moves that we really want, is it? We want the 200, 300, 400, 1,000, 2,000% moves, and they're the ones that alts give us. That's what we really like about them, mainly. And there's no chart out here right now that says it's going to do anything like that. But the lower it goes, the more excited we should be. And if all we're doing is accumulating Bitcoin until the charts tell us that it's ready to do those moves, that's what we should get excited about. And this is why people don't watch my YouTube channel anymore, because I don't tell them that something's going to go up immediately. I say, look, trading is largely about patience, right? And sometimes you've got to have a lot of patience, and if you really want to get in at the ground floor of an alt season, it's when no one wants an altcoin. It's when they're completely wrecked. And I am not expecting, but I'm anticipating wreckage across the board. And then I will be looking at these small cap coins that nobody likes, like what I was doing back in January when I was getting in things like Harmony One, Seller, and FET, and Holochain, and all these things that were just dead to most people, but really what they were doing is they were ready for a massive uptrend. And look at the proof is in the pudding. And you can't just go buying things like Holochain or FET or any of these things. You can't just go blindly buying them. You buy them when the time is right and when the signals kick in, and then you get the 10x. But you don't get the 10x just buying them because they're lower than they were last week or the week before that or a month, or you go, well, look, this is 60% or 70% down. That's not really what it's all about. Some of these things, like some of these really low cap ones that we've even seen on this channel today, I would expect a 90% retracement, and then we can look at them. But we don't just buy them because they're 90% down. We look at them as they are 90% down and go, is there any kind of clues of an uptrend? And if there is, then we buy then. So we just be patient. Do you know what I mean? If we really think, when I balance it all out and think about what I think is going to happen this year, for the rest of this year, I think it's going to be a pretty boring summer where crypto Twitter are going to, one person will tell you that it's going to the moon, another person will tell you that it's going to hell, and that's just literally that's what you're going to get probably for the next couple of months. You're going to get days of absolute euphoria when people will see it go to 50,000 and go, this is it, we're going to the, oh my god, the next day down, and then the next week all the way down 28,000, and then everyone's like, oh, it's dead, it's over, it's a scam, it's a Ponzi, I've been tricked, I'm never buying this again. And then we buy it. Then we buy it because we've anticipated the entire range, we've been waiting for it, and we've got the patience to persevere through all this madness. And God knows what altcoins will look by then. And when Bitcoin goes into its uptrend, I imagine it will be the leader of the pack for a little while at least. And then we look at altcoins. And then we go, now let's go for the kill. All right, now it's time. The patience will serve you well. And by the end of the year, I think we'll have all those things happen. We'll have Bitcoin come up and then go down. Then we can get into Bitcoin even more. Then we can sail that up to maybe its previous all-time high, and then maybe a little bit more. And then we will be able to rotate into altcoins again, just like we did in January, with the same kind of signals and setups that we saw in January. And then we'll be able to do another 5-10x of the Bitcoin that we've already accumulated back into Bitcoin, and then maybe just cash out. Do you know what I mean? Because there will likely be some point where the market is overheated again, but it's definitely a different market than it used to be. And don't get me wrong, it's not as easy as I've just explained, but it is you can be very casual about how you trade right now, and if that means not trading at all, that's a perfectly good way of dealing with it. I'm not suggesting that there's any specific moves or anything to be very excited about right now, other than the prospect of what's going to come a little bit further down the line this year. So 1 or 2 months of sideways, boring, up and down range in a potential 70% area, which is massive. And that's why people are going to go crazy on crypto Twitter and YouTube saying the end is nigh, and then you'll go on the next day and says this is it, the moon is in sight. But really, what we should all look at it and go, well, actually, yeah, both of it's all valid. You know, we will see big moves up and big moves down. There's this giant accumulation range which lends itself to a big move in the end, one way or another, likely, in my opinion, to the up. And yeah, altcoins will have a great place in our strategy, but not until I suppose the fourth quarter. Really, let's look at things rationally and be patient, and then we will destroy, just like we did in January. Oh, please answer my question. All right, I'm all over the place with this. Sorry, right. What was your question? It was just this one. I'm trying to work my way down the list. Hang on. Can you please cover EMAs? The EMAs. I'm not sure if you set the low or high. Maybe there's something in the setting. What do you mean? Can you please cover the EMAs? I am not sure if you set the low or the high. Maybe there's something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, mate. Don't know what that means. I am dyslexic, so that probably makes perfect sense. I just it's not hitting me. It's just not getting it. I've been accumulating lots of ETH down here. Fair play to you. Fair play. What about EOS in the next couple of weeks? I wouldn't get too excited about EOS in a couple of weeks. Like I say, if you want to accumulate down these low levels for EOS particularly, I wouldn't hold anything against you, because there is a big reason for it to move based upon, you know, that exchange, the bullish exchange. But the chart alone looks pretty awful, to be honest with you, and we've already measured out potential areas of significance off the top of my head, about $4.20 and about $3.40. They would be great entries, but there's nothing bullish about it right now. Basically, how do I set my EMAs from scratch? It's pretty easy. You just go to it, you go right click, insert indicator. You probably just write in EMA and it's moving average exponential. Write that in. You click that and you have them all down the side here. It always brings up the 9. You write in what length you want, what colour you want, how big you want the thing to be, and that's it. That's all you do. Job done. Right. Hey, what's your end of year for uni? I'm assuming its growth is dependent on Ethereum. And like you said, if you're bullish on Ethereum, you should not be bullish on Uniswap. I don't really have a. I can't really put. Let's have a look at Uni, shall we? And I'll have a think. But Uniswap's one of them that is, it's its own thing, and the chart is very small, and it did a massive run in a very short space of time. So based upon this chart here on the daily, it does look like it's hanging on for dear life. There is fundamental reasons for it to move. There's the Uniswap version 3, which I'm assuming is probably out already, and yeah, Ethereum moving to its proof of stake. There's all these things that can't really be interpreted on this chart. But when looking at this chart, it doesn't look very happy. On the daily, it's holding on to its last moving average of any significance. We're already playing out death cross here in the 4 hourly and being rejected from everything over here. I'm not. Look, again, it's like everything else. Just because something has been pretty epic in the past doesn't mean it's going to continue with its epic trajectory. When we look at something like this, we wait for an accumulation period before even getting in, unless you really want to catch knives or at least just buy bounces. End of year, it would be impossible. It would be impossible for me to say based upon a chart of such small size like this. It'd just be impossible. And even price predictions in general are pretty impossible. That's something only really a fundamental analyst could really try to make a guess of. Maybe that's how I should get my YouTube views back up. You know, maybe I should just make random guesses, because that's all they are. That is all they are. When you see these things on YouTube, and someone will say, "Uniswap is going to go to $500 by the end of the year," And you say, well, great. All right, everybody's going to be watching that and subscribing to that because they like the sound of it. But, you know, why? Why would it do that? And what? Are we going to go back in time and say, look, I watched a video of yours 6 months ago and I'm looking at the price now and you were wrong. That guy doesn't care. He's already had 500,000 views or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's more or less impossible, to be honest with you. Hbar. So I'm all over the place here. I'm all over the place. Wow. Alright, let's alright, that looks a little bit better. But even still, it doesn't look particularly good, does it? Look, everything is doing the same thing. Holding on to dear life to its last moving average of any significance. With incoming death crosses, you know, that we're not supposed to talk about. But it doesn't look good. So, you know, we can't look at this and go, well, if I buy here, it was better than buying here. Yeah, it is, definitely. But are you buying here for any reason? Look, every time you come down to test this 200 exponential, we've had bounces, but they get lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser. I think it's just going to continue to go down until the market settles. And with Bitcoin overperforming, or outperforming, should I say, altcoins right now, even when it goes up, and then when it goes down, it brings everything down further. Think about what that means. It's going to do that for another 2 months, potentially. What will that mean? What will that do to altcoins? In 2 months' worth of that, incrementally gaining on its Satoshi pairings, incrementally doing that, which basically means incrementally bringing down the charts bit by bit, just hitting them slightly every 2 or 3 days. You know, knocks the chart down a little bit further than it was, bit by bit, for another 2 months. That's how I'm seeing it. So all that we're looking at now is we're looking at a chart that's in a serious consolidation, holding on to the 200 exponential. That's what it's doing right now. We all know what happens when things break down from a 200 exponential. They get worse. And judging by the way that this is failing to react to that as a support, it makes me think that it's going to come down further. So if we think about Bitcoin and how it reacted to breaking down from its 200 exponential, and how anything breaks down from it, it gets quite nasty. You know, this is Bitcoin. You know, we had a little reaction here, but then we did break down. It got really bad. So let's just expect the worst for altcoins, and yeah, that one particularly wasn't having any nice reaction at all to that. We've done EOS, right. Please could you give a quick overview of top 5 mistakes to avoid when establishing a bot? Yeah, well, I couldn't give you the top 5, but some things. First of all, don't set a bot up just because you think I suppose it's gonna right, let's look at it like this. Only set a bot up if you've established a range. If you've not established a range, don't set a bot up. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. So there is a range on Bitcoin. So, and we've determined a range. We determined it a little while ago, which is this. So this is the Bitcoin range, right? So even though I expected an outside and an inside range, so this is technically the outside range, 33,000. This is the inside range, 33,000 to about 41,000. That's the inside range. And if you'd have set a bot up around here, this would have been great, because we've gone up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, and that's what bots want to do. In fact, that's the best thing a bot could ever ask for: a sideways range in a range which is quite well established and quite predictable, which means that all your orders get bought and sold over and over and over again, maximizing your profits. So, knowing that that's what a bot is designed to do, don't set a bot up if there's no established range. Yeah, so only set a bot up if there's an established range, and don't set one up because if you haven't got an established range. Simple as that. What you're trying to do, there's a skill to it, which is to make sure that the price action remains within your grids, and if it does, and if it goes sideways, even better going sideways than it is going up. It's definitely not worth having one set up if it's going down. But sideways is great, so this would have been a great one. The Bitcoin to USDT. I think I did dare to recommend that to the Telegram chat. Not that I like making recommendations, but I did say that this might be one of the only bots that I would give my seal of approval to, and it would have worked. You know, it would have worked quite well, and probably will continue to work quite well. But I still think that we will go outside of the range and below the range, which means that it will mess your grid bot up slightly. You could also say, all right, I'm expecting the big range too, Jammer. I do expect that, so let's have my grid of a 72% range. That's fine. It means that the majority of your investment will be being played in the middle side of the range, but you can compensate for the large move up and the big move down as well. So, first of all, only set a bot up if there's an established range. Secondly, if your range is broken to the up or mainly to the down, you should really think about closing it. I don't have stop losses on, and I'll show you why, because I've got one of my bots up here. So this is my bot for Algorand to Bitcoin, right? So I've got my bot here. So this is still in an established range. It's still working quite well. Yeah, this is before the dump. Look, this has been going for a while now. How old is it? 1 month and 12 days. It's quite an old bot. Been going for a long period of time. It's still within the range. If I had a stop loss on at the lowest grid, like this wick would have stopped me out, which meant that all this price action, all this profit, I wouldn't have made. So yeah, another thing I would say is don't have a stop loss. I don't use a stop loss on a bot. Don't see the point. I manually close it if I realise that I've made a mess up. So if it goes out of the range and it's going down and the chart's looking bad, bite the bullet, close it, but don't have a stop loss on it, because wicks can be a bot's best friend, you know, and this one specifically was great. But yeah, I can't give you a top 5, but they're two of the ones. So don't set a bot up if you haven't got an established range, and monitor it manually. Don't have a stop loss, but don't be afraid to close it if you realise that your bot is not going to make any money and it could get potentially a lot worse. Then you bite the bullet and close it. Don't hope for the best. Do your analysis on the chart and do it like that. So I can't think of any more particularly right now. Maybe I'll make a video on it. Oh, you love this end of year uni token, don't you? I imagine you've got a fair whack of uni, and again you love this question. Right. Some strong DeFi on the Ethereum blockchain. Yeah. ACC. I took some losses in alts, but not nearly as much. I'm out for the time being. Thankfully, thanks to your guidance on this cycle. No worries. I'm glad it's worked out. It was never my intention to. Oh, yeah. Listen, mate. I know that I've already answered it, but Jesus, it's a very important question for you, and I'm glad hopefully I've answered it to the best, or to satisfy you. So yeah, the thing about me even doing these videos and these channels and everything like that is I'm not a financial advisor, obviously. Everything I do is based upon my own strategy, all my own trades, and I'm pretty transparent with them. I don't like to show my trades. Obviously, with bot trading, I kind of have to, but I'm not one of those people like that just wants to show me making money or especially losing money. But with bot trades, I kind of have to show it. Otherwise, you know, it doesn't work in theory. I can talk about entry and exit points, you know, with spot trades and my expectations of price. But yeah, I mean, you've probably seen from now that my overall view of the market is it's not stressful. Yeah, there's no need to. I don't get stressed out about it. There's nothing to be stressed out. I feel like it's one of the most forgiving markets to be in general anyway. But you don't want to be caught on the wrong side of it. And altcoins are great, but they can also be pretty horrendous. And I've been caught in some altcoin trades in the past, which have been pretty devastating. So you learn from your mistakes, you know, and then you look back and reflect upon how that happened and how should I have bit the bullet and this, that, and the other. But I'm glad it worked out for you. But it's never my intention to tell you what to do. But I'm glad that you seeing and I suppose understanding what it is that I am doing, and then taking it upon yourself to make your own decisions. That's what I hope people do, and not copy me. And this is why I don't tell people about my bots that I set up or when I open and close them, because I used to do that a little bit, and I realised that people were just copying it, and it's not I don't want people copying what I do, because we all make mistakes, you know, and and I can't look at every single chart every single day and make the ultimate best decision, and I just think it's not responsible for me to say I'm setting this up and knowing that some people will just follow me and copy that and stuff. It's why I never really put myself on a copy trader. So I just I'm not into all of that. I'm more about explaining what I am doing, and that's really what the channel was all about, is just documenting my own trades, having a little go at YouTube. At the end of the day, it's a pretty low maintenance YouTube channel. You just turn it on, start recording, and think out loud, and this is what I'm going to do today, or this is what I plan to do next week, and this is my entry point, my exit point is working out well, blah 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 blah. I'm not trying to make a load of money out of this. CC's unpopular XRP videos made me in it. yes, you gotta love it or you hate it. Right, well, I'll tell you what, I'm all over the place here, so I'll tell you what, I'm just going to answer a couple more. Let's have a look. Where were we? Yeah, please look at XRP. We've done that. My hypothesis is that when Bitcoin dominance tops, cryptos popular in China are going to make the hardest runs. Coins like Tron. Well, I don't have any thoughts on that particularly. It's all about charts for me. It's all about charts. So when we see a Bitcoin dominance chart coming up to any form of resistance at this level, and like I say, resistances are like 52%, 52% dominance is the next area of potential resistance, then I will turn my attention to some altcoins and I will have a look at their charts. I don't really care where they're based or this, that and the other. It's all based upon what, we're coming to a resistance on the dominance chart, and then I look at some other charts and go, well, these look like they are having some nice signals or whatever, and that's all it's based upon. Geography means nothing to me. Thoughts on the implications of the record number of short positions in Bitcoin? Right, well, I expect them to get wrecked, and to be honest with you, even if it's just through some mass manipulation. So yeah, you're going to get lots of shorts piling up, and this is what I was saying about the last time we had a similar kind of death cross vibe going on over here, and then we got this huge wick. So this is the 2019 bull run, which it was a bull run. It was the start of the bull market, and the bull run was way too fast, and we started to consolidate big time, breaking down. We've got a death cross coming in. Let's pile on those shorts, and then it just completely destroyed everybody. Not saying that this consolidation or this bear market is over. It just means that I bet you that there was a lot of shorts stacking up here when this death cross was inevitably going to happen, and then before you knew it, everybody was wrecked, and then the continuation of the trend began. Honestly, I can't say that will happen again, but it would not surprise me at all. And the more shorts that pile up, and especially when we have something like this, which is, honestly, it's an overblown signal. It's not a signal. This is one thing that people need to get. A death cross and a golden cross, they're not signals. They are just moving averages, and if anything at this stage now, they represent more about resistance than they do about strength of trend or weakness of trend, considering how far we've come already, as in like down. So yeah, all those people stacking shorts, I have a very sneaky suspicion that there will be a big move up, maybe towards maybe even as high as 49,000, but definitely I'm expecting a move to about 44,000 sooner rather than later, maybe even as early as tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, some people are going to get devastatingly crushed and wrecked. I expect that, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to come back down to test the lower side of the range, 28,000 or whatnot. It's just the way that this market gets played, and it does get played pretty, pretty nasty. Look, that is a big thing out there. So what was that? 40% move in a 24-hour period. So yeah, they can stack their shorts if you like. Right, where were we now? I'll tell you what, I'll just do one. What is this? AUDS? I've never heard of it. Let's have a look. Is that what that is? I don't know. I don't know what that is. I'm afraid I don't know if that was the ticker or not. Right, record number of shorts. Buy signal. Yeah, well, kind of. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it just seems a bit too obvious to me. Oh, the incoming death cross. Let's get wrecked. Basically, I've seen it all before. We've kind of almost saw it get a bit today, didn't we? If we look on the 15-minute chart, there was a short hunt. You'll get. I reckon you'll get another one of those. Alright, last time shorts were confident in shorting BTC. The C19 sell-off, blah blah blah. Okay, yeah, cool. Right. Easy to measure using log scale. Yeah, I do use log scale sometimes. Don't worry, I do. But generally, I keep it on the main thing. So it depends how far I go out, I suppose. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna actually leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there. Thanks for watching, and normally all these live streams are for Patreon users, so if you do want to join up, there's links and stuff in the description below. The next one will be on Saturday, so I'm going to do them Wednesdays and Saturdays now, mainly because I think that they're better days. You know, we've got one midweek day, and also we've got one on the first day of the weekend, you know, after Saturdays, you know, so it mixes it up a little bit. We've already seen the weekly close, and we're into the weekend, so I think that's a good way to do it. So spread it out a little bit. But also, there's a very interesting football match taking place on Friday for me. You know, the Scotland-England game, which I'm divided. You know, one of my kids is Scottish, the other one is English. I spent a fair amount of time in Scotland. I used to live there for a while, so it's an interesting game. Not that I expect Scotland to win, but if they did, you know, good for them. I'll have an iron brew. But yeah, I want to have Friday free. We're just going to do it like this from now on. So I think it suits everybody. And no offence to anyone that's watching that's Scottish. Like I say, I lived in Kirkcaldy for 4 years. Technically, I've got a Scottish daughter just because that's where she was born. I love the Scottish, but let's face it. You know, I'll watch the game, but the outcome. Well, I'll tell you what. If Scotland do win, oh my God, you can only imagine. Yeah, that will never ever be allowed to be forgotten, and that will probably be the last straw before independence is declared. That's all they will need to confirm their that'll be it. They'll be gone. They won't just go independent. They will soar off the border and float away. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you on Saturday. Take it easy.